Hello, it's Hanho Friend from Studio Lumiku here, and you are watching an AI Touch Plus tutorial for creating some blood. And let's see the effect first. Okay, I'll start by creating the basic composition of the background and the text, and let's rename the composition to be a main comp. And as you can see, I use quite low resolution here, so all the settings what I'm going to use in the effects will probably need some adjusting if you are going to use any bigger resolution for your compositions. Okay, so that's okay, and let's bring the background image. I'll bring it straight down here to the timeline. Let's scale it. Something like that. And let's bring the logo. Like that. And then some text. Somewhere out there. Like that, and I'll use a Luma matte for the text, and the background image is the layer which Luma values I'll use here. So Luma matte, and then I'll adjust the levels a bit. Color correction and levels. Ooh, this is tight here with this resolution. Working with this resolution here, but I'll do my best. So I'll squeeze the levels quite a lot, so the effect is more nicely visible in the text. Okay, that's quite nice. So one more thing for the overall mood here, I'll bring a spotlight here by creating an adjustment layer, and I'll rename it Spotlight. And well, actually I'll rename it because I'm not using any After Effects own spotlight, but from the perspective, and there is the CC spotlight effect instead. And adjust the softness and cone angle, something like that. Okay, now the basic composition is ready. And how to create the blood? I'll use a particle system to create the basic motion for the blood, for the basic stream, and then add an echo effect for the particle system, so the particles will leave a nice stream behind. I'll start creating the blood by creating a new solid and black solid, and I'll rename it to be a particles. And already here I'll add from simulation the particle world. And at the moment the particles are quite sparkly, not looking like blood at all. So let's change the settings a bit. So I'll reduce the birth rate a bit, and then actually I'll increase the longevity already here, something like 3 seconds, because the dripping should be quite slow. So 3 seconds. I think the particle age should be at least 3 seconds for a slow dripping. And then let's change the physics and change the animation type from explosive to fire. So we get this kind of nice sideways movement for the particles. And now we need the particle stream going down, so I'll change the gravity to negative value and also a bit lower value, so something like 0.15 maybe. And then I'll change the particle type. So now they are, at the moment they are these lines, but we need the streams to be more thicker. So let's change the particle type to faded sphere. To get the stream more thicker, let's change the particle size. So to particle, and from there actually let's try even so something so high than 1. And there is the size variation at 50%, so there is still some smaller ones also nicely. So only a couple of things to do here at the particle system. So let's first animate the emitter here. And actually it's called producer in this effect. I go to the first frame, enable the timer flags, animation flags there, and move the emitter up here. Then go forward on 5 seconds and then move the emitter here. And actually I'll just go again 5 more seconds and move the emitter somewhere here and leave it there. So now the blood will be streaming down over the text and over the logo and then back to somewhere over there on the left, and will be left streaming there. So still one thing in the particle world here. Let's change the color of the particles to something something like mid-gray. So let's not use any blood red yet, but let's use a gray color. So gray, and I always select these wrong ways. Yes, I got it right now. So both birth and death color gray. And then let's add the echo effect. So from time, echo. And if I'll bring the particle system somewhere, for example, over there, so we can see how this echo works. So here we can see the echo time. This is the time step for the echoes, for the particle animation, and then number of echoes, how many echoes of these time steps we want. So if I'll start increasing this, you see that the particles now leave the trail behind. And here we can then have some decay for the stream if we want. But what I'll do now, I'll leave this to be 1 actually. Yeah, let's leave it to be 1. And what I'll do, I'll add a lot more echoes here. So something like, let's put big nice round number, 100 echoes. So now we get the composition completely filled with the blood. And actually I think we still need some more blood here since when the particle system goes to the right, it's completely clean, this part here. So let's add some more. more blood. So, okay, 200. And I'll try to decay it now a bit. Something like that. Okay. I think you can see where this is going now. The problem here is now the color of the blood. It's really too bright here, so let's use the particle opacity, maximum opacity of the particles. Let's reduce it way down. Oh, my computer is almost dying here. Too many echoes, I think. So maybe something like that. Okay. So now the color of the stream won't burn so badly to pure white. And actually, now when I did that one, I think we don't need the decay to come so soon. Let's up the value, maybe something like even 0.99. Oh, this is slow. Okay. Yeah. So now we have this nice animation for the blood stream. So the reason why I made this as a white first was I can use this white animation to be a lightness map for the blood bumpiness laterwards. But let's first color this blood stream to be more like blood red. So what I'll do now is pre-compose the particles layer here and rename it to be blood, and check this that it's moving all the attributes, so all the effects are going inside that composition. So now when we go inside there, we see the blood now here, only the blood, nothing else. So now let's color correct this one, and what I'll use is an effect called let's see, from color correction, the colorama. I love this effect. So what I'll do now is I'll change the colors to be more like blood, and I'll change this output cycle setting here to be ramp red, and also the one setting more the modify, and take out this modify alpha, and still one more. I'll take this composite over layer out. Okay, so now it's more like a blood over there. It's quite slow, the echo effect, so I think 200 might be a bit overkill, but so if you think your computer is dying, try reducing the echoes first. Let's add the 3D kinda effect, the bumpiness effect now to the blood. So let's choose the blood layer and then find the effect called CC Glass. So it's from Stylize and CC Glass. And then let's change the settings a bit. So from where we will take the bump map information, so let's use the blood layer for now, and which is the property we will use. So at the moment the lightness won't work, and I'll explain it a bit later. So let's use a alpha, so blood layers alpha for the bump map information, and then I'll change the light direction to be similar to the spotlight here. It's coming now from here for the effect, so let's rotate this angle here, something like that. So you can see already that it's giving these details to the blood here. And from shading I'll increase, a bit more specular, and then remove the metal value a bit, so we get more wider specular here. And maybe add some roughness too. And one thing more here, I'll take the softness out, so we get some more sharper details here. Some steps visible there at the moment. Actually, it might be even nice to have them, but I'll increase the value to be 5. So the problem with the lightness map for the bump map was, if I'll move this, for example, now over the logo here, it's not interacting with it at any way. So let's create a lightness map composition and use that lightness map to tell the CC class effect that where we want the bump map to be higher and where we want it to be lower. So what I'll use for the lightness map is the blood animation and then the logo, AE Touch plus logo. So I'll choose them and then just copy them, and I don't pre-compose them, I just create a new composition and then rename it to be lightness, and okay, and then paste them here. So I'll delete the glass effect from here, and actually I'll see right now that I've made one mistake here. I don't want this blood to be red here, so I need to go here to blood composition and cut this colorama from here and color it in the main comp here. So I'll paste the colorama here and bring it up over the glass effect. So now the red color can be adjusted here in the main comp, and then the lightness maps adjustment can be done here in the lightness composition. So if I change something in the red values here, it doesn't affect the lightness map. Now that I removed the colorama effect out from the blood composition. Okay, so on with the tutorial. So what I need now here at the lightness map is the values of the blood need to be opposite, because usually if any kind of fluid is streaming down somewhere, it usually has the lower edge a bit more higher than the upper parts here, unless of course it's streaming a lot here. But so again, I'll use the color corrections colorama here, and again the same settings here but a bit different presets. I'll select the negative from the presets, and again the modify alpha out, and also take out the composite over layer. Okay, so now we have this nice higher edge, and I'll adjust it a bit. So I'll add some colors here by clicking outside the ring here, and it copies the color value from there where I click it. So something like that. Actually, I take that one out and leave it like that. So something like that is okay. And also what I'll do, I'll change the AE Touch Plus logo to be grayscale, so color correction and tint, and leave it like that. Then I'll move the playhead a bit forward, so we get the blood and logo in top of each other, and I'll take the logo's opacity out quite a lot and change the blood layers blending mode to add. So now the values get added together. So blood will be always having a higher value if it's over the logo. Something like 20 percent is okay. And now let's try how this looks in the CC glass effect in the main comp. So to the main comp and to the CC glass, and let's change the bump mapping to be the lightness composition, but we don't have the lightness composition here yet. So I'll put it down to the composition here and take the visibility out so it doesn't interact with the composition here. It interacts with only with the blood CC glass effect. So now we can select from the bump map list the lightness layer, and you can already see that there's some difference here at the edge of the logo, but still it's using the alpha values. So to have the effect working with the lightness values, we'll change that one to lightness. So now it's looking something like that. And now there's the problem I mentioned earlier, that the CC glass effect can't read the lightness values quite very well if the lightness map has some transparency. So well, I don't know, maybe it's reading it right, but at least for this effect we need to add a black solid behind the whole lightness composition, because if we check the transparency here, it's looking like this. So the lighter colors here are kind of fading out due to the transparency. So let's add a black solid, and black because we need it to be the lowest value at the background. So now there is no alpha at all, no transparency at all. So back to the main comp and see how it works now. So now it's getting the correct values from the lightness. So let's continue tweaking the values a bit. So the blood is actually now having similar problem than the lightness map, so that the transparency is quite low here at the beginnings of the streams. So let's squeeze the alpha a bit here, or maybe quite a lot even with the blood layer. So to the color correction and then levels, and change the channel to alpha, and let's start squeezing, so something like that maybe. Okay, now the stream is really more opaque. So if we zoom to the logo, we can see that the blood is interacting with the logo also. And one thing what's wrong here, let's change the blood below the adjustment layer. And what, no, it's giving the track matte here, so no track matte. So we get the spotlight effect for the blood also. Okay, looking pretty bloody nice already. So okay, that was a bad joke, not funny. What else could be done? Maybe one thing that I don't like is the sharp edges here at the blood. So this means that the blood stream lightness is clipping here. So we can adjust the blood stream a bit. So either we adjust the particle board from the particles max opacity, if I take it to 7, and see what's happening in the main comp. So already much less of the harsh edges there, but now there is this rippling effect here. I think it's a bit too much over there. So let's go back to the blood and actually blur this blood texture here, lightness texture here. So to the blur, and then for example fast blur, and try it with 3 maybe, and repeat the edge pixels. Let's see if it's helping. Yeah, it's helping a bit, maybe a bit more. 5. Okay, nice and smooth now. So almost done. Maybe the blood color could be a little bit more varying, so we can adjust the blood's colorama effect a bit more. So let's change the output cycle and add some more colors here. So if I try to, I'll copy that point over there and move it down to the way down here, and then let's see if I invert this. So I take some dark color from there and bring it to these parts, these upper parts here, and let's actually let's change that one also to something way darker, something like that maybe. Okay, so now there's again more interesting variation of the texture and the coloring of the texture. So let's move this back here somewhere here now. Okay, I think it's more gory looking blood now, since it's having this dark black streams. What else? Yes, one more thing to do. The creepy hidden message for the viewer. So now it's saying Happy Halloween here, but if I'll just copy that text and go back to the lightness map and paste the text over here and change this to be something completely different, something like Bloody Halloween. Oh, I dropped my mouse. You should see the position I'm working here. So now it's a bit too bright, so let's take the opacity down, way down. Maybe 15, and let's see how it looks. Okay, zoom it in a bit. So there it is, Bloody Halloween. Okay, if you are watching this around the Halloween season, have a happy Bloody Halloween, virtually that is, bloody. And I recommend experimenting especially with the particle systems, different settings, for example how the particle emitter is moving on the composition, and also the velocities of the particles. You can make some fast splatter on the middle of the composition, for example, and use the drag, was it resistance value in the particle world. So the velocity is really quick at the beginning, but then it's stopping quite fast, so you get this nice splatter dynamics for the blood. Okay, this was an AE Touch Plus tutorial, and I was Hannu Hoffren from Studio Lumiku. See you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.